I rented a cabin in the Smokies for a weekend photography trip. The listing said it was secluded. What it didn't mention was that something lives under the cabin, and every night at 2 a.m., it tries to get inside. Stay close. Keep your senses open. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. I'm a landscape photographer from Boston. Last October, I was looking for fall foliage shots and found this cabin rental online. The photos looked perfect, deep in the Great Smoky Mountains, surrounded by forest, total isolation. The host had 5-star reviews. Everyone praised the peace and quiet, the stunning views, the authentic mountain experience. I booked 3 nights, drove down from Boston on a Thursday. The directions took me deeper and deeper into the mountains. Paved roads turned to gravel. Gravel turned to dirt. Eventually, I was following GPS coordinates through unmarked forest roads. Twice I thought I'd gotten lost, but then I saw it, a small wooden cabin at the end of a narrow clearing, exactly like the photos. The key was in a lockbox by the door. Inside, the cabin was clean and well maintained. 1 bedroom, small kitchen, living room with a wood stove, large windows overlooking the valley. I spent the afternoon unpacking and exploring the area. The forest pressed in on all sides. Dense, dark, beautiful. Not another structure in sight. Not even power lines. The cabin ran on solar panels and a backup generator. That first evening was perfect. I cooked dinner on the propane stove, sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the mountains orange and purple. Stars appeared in numbers I'd never seen in the city. Absolute silence, except for crickets and the occasional owl. I felt completely relaxed for the first time in months. I went to bed around 11 p.m. The cabin got cold at night. I piled extra blankets on the bed and listened to the wood stove crackle in the other room. Sleep came easily until 2 a.m. I woke to a sound. At first I thought it was the stove settling, but it came again. A slow, scraping noise, like something being dragged across wood. It was coming from under the floor. The cabin sat on a foundation that left maybe 3 feet of crawl space underneath. I'd noticed the access panel in the bedroom closet, but hadn't thought much about it. Now I lay frozen, listening. The scraping moved from one end of the cabin toward my bedroom. Slow, deliberate, patient. I told myself it was an animal, possum, raccoon, something looking for shelter, but it didn't sound like any animal I knew. It sounded methodical, purposeful, like something searching, testing. The scraping stopped directly beneath my bed. For maybe 30 seconds, there was silence. Then I heard breathing. Deep, raspy, like air moving through a damaged throat. My heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it in my ears. I grabbed my phone. No signal, of course. The cabin was too remote. I'd known that before booking. I lay there, barely breathing, listening to that thing breathe below me. Minutes passed. 5, 10. Then the scraping started again, moving away. Back toward the other end of the cabin, toward the access panel in the closet. I heard it testing the panel, pushing the wood creaked. I jumped out of bed, ran to the closet. The panel was moving, bulging inward. Something was pressing against it from below, hard. I grabbed the dresser, dragged it in front of the closet. It wasn't heavy, maybe 90 pounds, but it blocked the closet door. The pushing stopped. Silence. Then, footsteps. Not scraping. Actual footsteps. Walking under the cabin. Human footsteps. But wrong somehow. The rhythm was off. The weight distribution uneven. They circled the cabin perimeter. Stopped at what I guessed was the front porch. I heard the porch boards creak. Whatever it was on the porch now. I could see through the bedroom doorway into the living room. The front door was locked, deadbolt engaged, but the windows, I'd left one cracked for fresh air. I moved quickly, shut it, locked it, checked all the others, all secure. The footsteps moved across the porch, testing each window, finding them all locked. Then they stopped at the front door. I watched from the bedroom, saw the door handle turn, slowly, testing. The deadbolt held. The handle released. More silence. I stood in the dark, phone in hand, useless. No weapon except a kitchen knife. Nothing between me and whatever was outside except old wood and rusty locks. It stayed on the porch until dawn. I could hear it moving occasionally, pacing, waiting. When the first light appeared through the windows, the footsteps retreated, back under the cabin, back to wherever it came from during the day. I didn't sleep, didn't move, just stood there until full sunrise. In daylight, everything looked normal. I went outside, checked the crawl space vents. Nothing. No tracks in the dirt. No disturbance. I got on my hands and knees, looked under the cabin with my phone flashlight. Just dirt and support beams. But there was a smell. Damp, musty, like wet earth and something else. Something organic, rotting. I should have left. Should have driven straight back to Boston. But it was daylight. Everything seemed ridiculous in the sun. I'd probably imagined it, heard normal cabin sounds, and let my imagination run wild. I decided to stay, finish my trip, get the photos I came for. I spent the day hiking and shooting. The mountains were beautiful, the fall colors perfect. I got amazing shots. But I made sure I was back at the cabin before dark, checked all the windows, double-checked the locks, pushed furniture in front of both the bedroom closet and the front door, kept the kitchen knife next to my bed, told myself nothing would happen. That last night was a fluke, just my imagination. At 2 a.m., it started again, the scraping, the breathing, but this time it was more aggressive, more urgent. It went straight to the closet access panel, started pounding. The dresser shook, but held. The pounding continued. Harder. The wood was splintering. I called out, yelled for it to stop. Stupid, but I was terrified. The pounding stopped. Then I heard a voice, muffled, coming from under the floor. It wasn't words. Not exactly. More like sounds shaped like words. Wet, garbled, like someone trying to speak through a mouthful of mud. It said something that sounded like my name, but wrong, distorted. I grabbed my keys, my bag, ran for the front door, moved the furniture, unlocked the deadbolt. The door flew open. I sprinted to my car, fumbled with the keys, got it started, tore down that dirt road without looking back. Branches scraped the sides. Rocks kicked up and dented the undercarriage. I didn't care. I just drove. I made it to a gas station as the sun was rising. Pulled in, sat there, shaking. The attendant asked if I was okay. I told him about the cabin, the sounds, the thing underneath. He didn't look surprised. He asked what road I was on. When I told him, he nodded slowly. You rented the Hutchins place. I asked how he knew. He said everyone local knows. Nobody from around here would stay there. He said the original owner built that cabin in the 50s, lived there alone for 20 years, then disappeared. They found the cabin empty, his truck gone. No sign of struggle, but people who hiked near the property reported hearing things at night. Voices, movement, something, living under abandoned structures. The property changed hands several times. Each owner eventually left suddenly, refused to explain why. 5 years ago, someone bought it as an investment, cleaned it up, started renting it online, makes good money. Tourists love the isolation, the authenticity. Most stay one night, some last 2, very few make it to 3, and none of them ever leave reviews about what really happens there. I asked why the property was still available, why nobody shut it down. He shrugged. No proof, no evidence, just stories, and the owner doesn't advertise what happens. Tourists come, tourists leave. Some cancel early, some don't. The mountains have lots of rental cabins, lots of strange sounds at night. Most people convince themselves it was nothing, that they imagined it. They don't want to seem crazy, so they stay quiet. I reported it, contacted the rental platform, tried to warn other tourists. My review was removed, violated community guidelines. No proof of claims. The host responded politely, said I must have heard wildlife, offered a partial refund. The cabin is still listed, still renting, 5-star average rating. People love the peace and quiet, but sometimes I check the reviews, read between the lines. One person mentioned unusual sounds, but figured it was animals. Another said they left a day early due to feeling uncomfortable but didn't elaborate. A third said the cabin was great, but they wouldn't stay there alone. Small hints, carefully worded. Nobody wants to be the crazy person who claims something lives under a rental cabin. I still have nightmares. Still hear that voice calling my name through layers of wood and earth. I tell people I had a bad experience with wildlife, that I'm not an outdoor person, that the isolation got to me. It's easier than the truth. Easier than admitting that something lives under that cabin, something that waits for darkness, something that knows your name before you ever arrive. The mountains keep their secrets, and tourists keep theirs, because admitting what we experienced means admitting we ventured somewhere we didn't belong, and that's something noticed. My girlfriend and I took a wrong turn on the Blue Ridge Parkway. We ended up in a town that isn't on any map. The residents smiled and waved, but none of them cast shadows. And when we tried to leave, every road lead back to Main Street. Stay close, keep your senses open, and if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. We were on a week-long road trip through the Appalachians. My girlfriend Sarah had always wanted to drive the Blue Ridge Parkway, see the fall colors, stay in small mountain towns, experience authentic Appalachia. I'd planned everything, booked hotels, mapped out scenic stops, downloaded offline maps because cell service was spotty. Day 4, we were somewhere in North Carolina. The parkway wound through stunning scenery, mountains layered like waves, trees blazing orange and red, perfect photo opportunities every few miles. We stopped at overlooks, hiked short trails. Everything was going great, until we missed our exit. It was late afternoon. We were looking for the turnoff to our hotel in Asheville. I was watching the GPS. Sarah was driving. We were talking, laughing, not paying close attention. The exit came and went. By the time I noticed, we were 5 miles past it. No problem. The next exit was 6 miles ahead. We'd loop back, except the next exit didn't appear. The GPS showed it clearly, but we drove past where it should have been. Nothing, just continuous parkway. Sarah slowed down. Maybe we missed it. We backtracked, drove slowly. Nothing. The exit that showed on every map simply wasn't there. My phone lost signal. Sarah's too. The GPS still worked offline, but showed our position on a road that apparently had no exits. We kept driving, looking for any way off. After 20 miles, we finally saw a small road branching off. No sign, no marking. Just a narrow paved road disappearing into the forest. Sarah looked at me. I shrugged. What choice did we have? We were low on gas. It was getting dark. We needed to find civilization. She took the turn. The road descended steeply. Switchbacks through dense woods. No houses, no other roads, just forest. Then suddenly, we emerged into a valley, and there was a town. Small, maybe 24 buildings clustered around a main street. Old-fashioned storefronts, a white church with a steeple, gas station, diner, like something from the 1950s, but maintained, clean lights on in the windows. We drove down Main Street slowly. People were out, walking on sidewalks, sitting on benches. They waved as we passed. Friendly? Normal. We waved back, found the gas station, pulled in. A young guy came out, smiled, asked if we needed help. I said we needed gas and directions back to the parkway. He started pumping, told us the parkway was about 5 miles north. Take Main Street through town, right at the church. Follow the road up, can't miss it. Sarah went inside to use the restroom and buy snacks. I stood by the car, watched people walk past. Everyone was friendly, smiled, nodded, but something felt off. I couldn't pinpoint it, just a vague unease, like watching a movie where the audio is slightly out of sync. Everything looked right but felt wrong. Then I noticed the sun was setting. Long shadows stretched across the street. Buildings, trees, cars, everything cast shadows, except the people. The pedestrians walked through sunset light without casting any shadow at all. I stared, blinked, looked again. Same thing. Men, women, children, moving through golden hour light. No shadows. Sarah came back. I grabbed her arm, whispered, "Look at the people." She looked. "What about them?" I pointed. "They're shadows." She squinted, looked harder. Her face went pale. Oh God. We paid quickly, got in the car. The attendant waved as we left. His arm moved through the air, cutting across his own body. No shadow followed. We drove faster than we should have through town, past the diner where shadowless diners ate shadowless food, past the church where shadowless worshippers filed inside for evening service. Everyone waved. Everyone smiled. We didn't wave back, just drove, following the attendant's directions. Right at the church, up the hill, back to the parkway, except the road didn't lead to the parkway. It curved back, led us straight back to Main Street. We were moving away from town, uphill, but somehow ended up right back where we started. Sarah drove faster, tried a different route, left at the gas station. Same result. Every road, every turn, brought us back to Main Street, like the town was a maze with only one room. It was full dark now. Streetlights came on, old-fashioned lamps, casting warm pools of light. People still walking, still waving. We pulled over. Sarah was crying. I was trying not to panic. Checked my phone. No signal. GPS showed our position, but the map wouldn't load. We were somewhere that technically existed, but wasn't supposed to. A woman approached the car, older, wearing a floral dress. Smiling, she tapped on Sarah's window. Sarah lowered it an inch. The woman leaned down. "You folks look lost." We told her we were trying to get back to the parkway. She nodded. "Oh, you can't leave at night. Too dangerous. The roads get confusing in the dark. Best stay till morning. We have a lovely inn, clean rooms, good breakfast." I asked what she meant. "We can't leave." She kept smiling. "The roads, they change at night. People get lost. It's safer to wait for daylight." We politely declined, said we'd keep trying. She shrugged. "Suit yourselves, but you'll be back. They always come back." She walked away, no shadow trailing behind her. We tried for 3 more hours. Every road led back. Every path circled to Main Street. The same people passed us, waving, smiling, never commenting on seeing us multiple times, never acknowledging the impossibility. Around midnight, we gave up, parked on Main Street, locked the doors, tried to sleep. Sarah dozed off eventually. Exhausted, I stayed awake, watching. The town never slept. People walked all night. Stores stayed open. The diner served customers, but it was the same people. The same 20 or 30 individuals circulating, walking the same routes, waving at the same intervals, like a loop playing over and over. And none of them ever looked tired, never went home, just walked, smiled, waved, endlessly at 3 a.m. I saw something that made my blood freeze. A car pulled into town. Different make, different state plates. A couple inside looking confused. They parked at the gas station, got out, looked around, checking their phones. Probably no signal. Probably lost like us. A man approached them, smiling, waving, offering help. I watched them talk. Saw the couple nod, get back in their car, try to leave. 10 minutes later, they drove past us again, coming back to Main Street. Expressions more panicked now. They tried another road. I knew what would happen. 15 minutes, they were back. This loop would continue until they gave up, until they accepted they were stuck. How many other cars had come here? How many other tourists? Were we just the latest in a long line of people who took a wrong turn and found a town that doesn't let you leave? At dawn, something changed. The people stopped, all at once, froze mid-stride, then turned, walked off Main Street, into buildings, into the forest. Within 5 minutes, the town was empty, silent, like a switch had been flipped. Sarah woke up, looked around. Where did everyone go? I told her I didn't know, but maybe this was our chance. We started the car, drove slowly out of town, took the first road we saw. This time, it didn't loop back. We climbed higher, the forest thinned, and suddenly we were on the parkway. Real asphalt, real yellow lines, a sign welcoming us to the Blue Ridge Parkway. My phone got signal. The GPS loaded, showed us exactly where we were, 20 miles from where we'd taken that unmarked exit. Somehow, we'd lost 12 hours, but covered no distance. We drove straight to Asheville, checked into our hotel, tried to process what happened. I looked up the town online, searched every database, historical records, maps, nothing. No town in that valley, no record of any settlement. The area was marked as National Forest, uninhabited. I called the Parkway Visitor Center, described the location. They said there's nothing there, probably a private property. Maybe we were confused, sleep deprived. We cut the trip short, drove home the next day. Haven't talked about it much since. Sarah has nightmares sometimes, wakes up saying she's back in that town, trapped, walking in circles. I dream about the people, their smiles, their waves, their missing shadows. Sometimes I wonder if we really left, or if we're still there, driving those same roads, thinking we escaped, but really just looping forever. I checked our photos from that day. Everything before the town is fine, but from the moment we entered that valley, every photo is corrupted, distorted, faces blurred, buildings warped, like reality itself was rejecting documentation. I have no proof we were there, just memories, and the certainty that somewhere in those mountains, there's a town that shouldn't exist, where people walk without shadows, where every road leads back, and where tourists arrive but some part of them never really leaves. We made it out with our bodies, but the mountains kept something. They always do. I was hiking the Appalachian Trail solo through Virginia, made camp at a designated shelter. At midnight, I heard singing, beautiful, haunting, coming from deeper in the woods. I followed it, found a clearing full of people in old-fashioned clothes. They were dancing in a circle. When they saw me, the singing stopped, and they all turned to face me at once. Stay close, keep your senses open. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. I'd been planning my through hike for 2 years, not the full Appalachian Trail, just a section, 2 weeks through Virginia. Solo I'd done plenty of shorter hikes, trained, prepared, knew the risks, bears, weather, injury, getting lost, but I was confident, experienced, ready. Day 5. I was making good time, averaging 15 miles a day. The weather was perfect. Cool mornings, warm afternoons. The fall colors were at peak. I had the trail mostly to myself. Passed a few other hikers during the day. Exchanged nods. Kept moving. By evening, I reached a designated shelter. 3-sided wooden structure with a raised floor. Room for maybe 6 people. I was alone. I set up my sleeping bag. Made dinner on my camp stove. Hung my food bag properly. Did everything by the book. It was still light when I finished. I sat on the shelter edge, legs dangling, watching the forest darken, listening to the sounds. Birds settling, insects starting their evening chorus, whined through leaves, peaceful. Exactly what I'd come for. I'd crawled into my sleeping bag around 9 p.m. Not tired yet, but no reason to stay awake. No phone service. No entertainment except my own thoughts. I lay there listening. The forest at night is never truly quiet. Always something moving, something calling, but it's a natural soundtrack, rhythmic, predictable, until it's not. Around midnight, I heard singing, female voice, crystal clear, beautiful melody, words I didn't recognize, not English, not any language I knew, but hauntingly pretty, coming from somewhere deeper in the forest, maybe a quarter mile away. I sat up, listened harder. The singing continued, slow, sad, like a lullaby or funeral hymn. I knew the smart thing was to stay in the shelter. Don't investigate strange sounds at night in the woods. But curiosity got the better of me, and honestly, I figured it was another hiker, someone camping off, playing music. I grabbed my headlamp, pulled on my boots, stepped out of the shelter. The singing was clearer now, definitely coming from the northeast, deeper into the forest. I followed, carefully, avoiding roots and rocks. The trail didn't go this direction. I was going off path, but the singing was magnetic. I couldn't not follow. It pulled me forward, through undergrowth, around trees. The forest here was old growth, massive oaks and maples, very little ground cover, easy walking despite the darkness. After about 10 minutes, I saw light, flickering orange, like firelight. The singing was louder, and there were more voices now. A chorus, maybe a dozen, all women, harmonizing. The same unfamiliar words, the same haunting melody. I crept closer, staying in the trees, approaching the light source. I reached a clearing, circular, maybe 50 feet across, and there they were. People, at least 20, maybe more, all dancing in a circle around a fire. But these weren't modern hikers. They were dressed in old clothes, long dresses for the women, rough trousers and vests for the men, like something from the 1800s. Handmade, worn, authentic. They moved in unison, slow steps, hands linked, circling the fire. The women sang. The men were silent, all of them focused, intent, like this was a ritual, something important, something sacred. The firelight cast their shadows long and distorted across the clearing, dancing shadows among the trees. I stood at the edge, watching, fascinated, confused. Was this some kind of historical reenactment? But out here, in the middle of nowhere, at midnight, and how had I not heard them setting up? Not seen smoke during the day. The fire was substantial, would have taken time to build. I must have made a sound, snapped a twig, rustled leaves, because suddenly, the singing stopped. Dead silence. The dancers froze, still holding hands, still positioned in their circle, but motionless, like someone had pressed pause for maybe 5 seconds. Nothing moved. Then, as one, they all turned their heads toward me. Every single person, synchronized, precise. Their faces were blank. No expression, no emotion, just empty stares. And their eyes. Even from 30 feet away, I could see their eyes reflected the firelight wrong. Too bright, too uniform. Like animals caught in headlights. But these were people. weren't they? I stepped back, raised my hand, called out an apology, didn't mean to interrupt. I'll leave. They didn't respond, didn't blink, just stared. Then, slowly, they released hands. The circle broke, and they started walking toward me, not running, not aggressive, just walking, steady, inevitable. That's when I ran, crashed back through the forest, branches whipping my face, roots trying to trip me, my headlamp bouncing, throwing crazy shadows. I could hear them behind me, not chasing, just following, at the same steady pace. Footsteps, crunching leaves, multiple sets, getting closer. I ran harder, faster than smart in the dark, faster than safe, just running on panic and adrenaline. I had no idea where the shelter was, no idea which direction, just away from them. I burst out onto the trail, recognized it, turned left, sprinted. The shelter appeared ahead. I dove inside, grabbed my sleeping bag, my pack, didn't bother organizing, just stuffed everything. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip my pack. The footsteps were closer. I could hear them on the trail, coming from both directions. They emerged from the forest, surrounded the shelter, standing just outside. Same blank faces, same reflective eyes, watching me, not speaking, not moving, just watching. I backed against the far wall, held my knife, useless but better than nothing. We stayed like that, me inside, them outside, frozen tableau, waiting. Then one of them spoke, a woman, voice emotionless. "Join us." I said no, shook my head. She tilted her head, like confused. "Why not? We sing, we dance, we are together, forever." I asked who they were, what they wanted. She smiled, but it wasn't a real smile, just muscles, moving, mimicking emotion. "We are the mountain is us. You are here, you should join." I told them to leave, to go away. The woman's smile faded. "You cannot make us leave. We belong here. You are the visitor, the intruder, but we welcome you. We always welcome new voices, new dancers. The circle grows." I asked what happens if I don't join. She didn't answer, just turned, walked back into the forest. The others followed. Within seconds, they were gone, vanished into darkness, like they'd never been there. I didn't sleep, sat with my back against the wall, knife in hand, watching the forest. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow could be them returning. At first light, I packed and hiked out. Didn't stop, didn't rest. Covered 20 miles by noon, got to a road, hitched a ride to the nearest town, ended my hike early. I reported it, told rangers about the people, the fire, the clearing. They searched, found nothing. No clearing, no fire pit, no signs of a gathering. They suggested I'd been disoriented, half asleep, imagined it, but I know what I saw. I know what I heard. Those people were real, and they're still out there. I researched the area, found stories, local legends, accounts going back centuries, people disappearing from the mountains, hikers vanishing without trace, bodies never found, and reports of singing at night, voices in the forest, figures dancing around fires that leave no ash. The Cherokee had stories about them, spirits trapped between worlds, neither living nor dead, calling to the living, trying to grow their circle. Some hikers who went missing were found eventually. Weeks later, months, wandering, confused, no memory of where they'd been, but changed, quieter, distant, like part of them stayed behind. Some said they'd been welcomed, invited to join, and they'd refused. But the invitation never really goes away. It lingers, waiting. I still hear the singing sometimes, in my apartment, in the city, distant, faint, like a memory that won't fade. And sometimes I feel the pull, the desire to go back, to find that clearing, to accept their invitation, to join the circle, because part of me is already there, has been since that night. The mountains don't let go easily. They mark you, claim you, and every tourist who hears that singing has a choice: walk away or dance forever. Most choose to walk, but the music follows, always, forever. I was driving through West Virginia coal country, stopped at a 24-hour diner. The menu prices were from 1985. The waitress didn't know what a smartphone was, and when I looked out the window, my car was gone, replaced by a vehicle that hasn't been manufactured in 40 years. Stay close. Keep your senses open, and if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. I'm a truck driver, long haul. Been doing it for 15 years. Driven every major highway in America. Seen weird stuff. Truck stops at 3 a.m. attract strange people. Empty highways play tricks on your tired brain. But this was different. This wasn't fatigue or imagination. This was real, and it shouldn't have been possible. I was running a route from Columbus to Charlotte, cutting through West Virginia on back roads to avoid traffic. It was late, past midnight. My delivery wasn't until morning. I had time. Preferred the empty mountain roads to busy interstates. More peaceful. Better scenery even in the dark. I'd been driving for 6 hours. Needed coffee, food, a break. The GPS showed a town ahead. Small, but should have basic services. I drove into it. Main street, a few shops, gas station, and a diner. Sign said open 24 hours. Neon glowing, a few cars in the lot. Perfect. I parked my rig on the street. Walked to the diner. Classic American setup. Chrome and red vinyl. Checkered floor. Counter with swivel stools. Booths along the windows. Jukebox in the corner. 3 other customers. All at separate tables. Not talking, just eating. The waitress looked up when I entered. Smiled. Gestured to sit anywhere. I took a booth by the window, where I could see my truck. Old habit. Never leave your rig unwatched longer than necessary. The waitress brought a menu. Laminated. Slightly worn. I glanced at it. Did a double take. The prices were insane. Coffee, 50 cents. Burger, $2. Full breakfast, $3.50. I asked if the menu was updated. She looked confused. Updated how? I said the prices seemed really low. She shrugged. That's what we charge. I didn't argue. Ordered coffee and a burger. She wrote it down. Walked to the kitchen window. Clipped the order up. I heard someone cooking back there. Sizzle of a grill. Smell of coffee brewing. All normal. All exactly what you'd expect from a small town diner. While I waited, I pulled out my phone. Checked messages. The waitress returned with my coffee. Saw my phone. Stared at it. What is that? I looked up. Confused. My phone. She stepped closer. Curious. Not suspicious. Just genuinely confused. Never seen one like that before. What company makes it? I told her it was an iPhone. Apple. She shook her head slowly. Don't know that brand? Is it new? I laughed, thinking she was joking. Then realized she wasn't. She was serious. Completely serious. I asked if she was messing with me. She looked hurt. No, sir. Just never seen a phone like that. Looks expensive. I glanced at the other customers. They were staring too. At my phone. At my clothes. Like I was the weird one. I looked down. My outfit was normal. Jeans, hoodie, sneakers. Nothing unusual. But their clothes, now that I looked, really looked. They were dated. Not vintage hipster dated. Actually old. Styles from decades ago. And not ironic. These people weren't being retro. This was just what they wore. I looked out the window at my truck, but it wasn't my truck. It was a different vehicle. older model. From the 80s maybe. Where my Freightliner had been was a Mack. Classic style, good condition, but definitely not modern. I stood up, fast, looked at the parking lot. All the cars were old. Not classic cars people restore. Just old cars, faded paint, primer spots, working vehicles from 40 years ago. I asked the waitress what year it was. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. 1985. Why? I sat back down, hard. Told her it was 2024. She laughed. No, it's not. It's October 1985. I showed her my phone, the date display. She examined it, looked uncertain. Maybe your phone is broken. Got the wrong date. I asked if they had a newspaper. She brought one from the counter. West Virginia Gazette. I looked at the date. October 15th, 1985. Front page stories about Reagan, the Cold War. Events from nearly 40 years ago, reported as current news. I looked at her, asked where I was. What town? She said Greystone. I'd never heard of it. Wasn't on my GPS. Wasn't on any map. I knew my burger arrived. I ate mechanically, trying to process. This was impossible. Time travel isn't real. Neither is alternate dimensions. This had to be elaborate prank. Hidden cameras, reality show, something. But everything felt genuine. The diner, the people, the newspaper, all perfectly consistent, all insisting it was 1985. I paid $2.75. The waitress made change from a 5. Old currency. Still said 1985 wouldn't use bills printed after that year. But these looked authentic, felt right. I thanked her, asked which road led out of town. Back to the highway, she pointed. South on Main, 3 miles to Route 19. Can't miss it. I walked outside, looked at my truck. Still not my truck. Still that old Mack. I tried my key. Didn't fit. Of course not. Wrong vehicle. I looked around. The town was quiet. Streetlights, old style. Yellow sodium vapor. The kind they don't use anymore. Buildings looked maintained but dated. Everything consistent with 1985. Nothing newer. Nothing modern. I started walking down Main Street, looking for my actual truck. It had to be here somewhere. Maybe I parked in the wrong spot. Maybe I was confused, but I walked the entire town. 3 blocks. Maybe 20 businesses. No modern cars. No modern anything. Just a preserved or trapped moment in 1985, with people who genuinely didn't know it. Was supposed to be anything else. I went back to the diner, asked the waitress if she'd seen a modern truck. Big new crumb. She shook her head. Only truck I saw was yours, that Mack. I described mine in detail. She looked sympathetic. Honey, I think you're confused. Maybe tired from driving? That happens. Why don't you rest? We have a motel down the street. I almost considered it. What else could I do? But something told me not to stay, not to sleep here. Because if I did, maybe I'd wake up really believing it was 1985. Maybe I'd forget, become part of this place. Another resident who didn't know the world had moved on without them. I walked south, following the waitress's directions, out of town, down a dark road, trees pressed close. No streetlights here, just darkness and the sound of my footsteps. I walked for what felt like hours. My phone died. No surprise. Been running all day without a charge, but also convenient. Now I had no proof, no documentation, just my memory of a town that shouldn't exist. I kept walking, cold, tired, starting to doubt myself. Maybe I had fallen asleep at the wheel. Maybe this was a dream, a very vivid, very detailed dream. Maybe I'd wake up in my truck, on the side of the road, and laugh at how real it seemed. Then I saw headlights, modern LED headlights. A car approached, slowed, stopped, window rolled down, young guy, concerned. You okay, man? "You look lost." I asked what year it was. He looked confused. 2024. "Why?" I almost cried. Asked where we were. He said Route 19, near Beckley, about 50 miles from Greystone. I asked if he knew Greystone. He shook his head. "No town called that around here." "You sure that's the name?" I described it. "Main Street, 24-hour diner." He thought. "Maybe you mean Grayson, but that's a ghost town. Been abandoned since the mines closed. 80s sometime. Nothing there now but empty buildings." He gave me a ride to the nearest truck stop. My rig was there, in the parking lot, where I'd apparently left it. According to my logbook, I'd stopped here 8 hours ago. Signed in, but I had no memory of it. No memory of arriving. Just the diner, the town, the impossible trip to 1985. I drove straight to Charlotte, made my delivery, then I researched. Found old records. Greystone was real. Was a mining town, thrived in the 60s and 70s. Started declining in the early 80s. Officially abandoned in 1987. Last residents left in 1986. Now it's just ruins, foundations, collapsed buildings. Nate's reclaiming what humans left behind. But I was there. I ate there. Talked to people who insisted it was 1985 and had never heard of smartphones. I can still taste that coffee. Still see the waitress's confused face. Still feel the wrongness of walking through a place that time forgot. Or maybe didn't forget. Maybe trapped. Preserved. A pocket of then existing in now. And I stumbled into it. Spent a few hours in the past. Then stumbled out. Other drivers report similar things. Towns that don't exist. Diners with impossible prices. Time slips and reality breaks. But nobody talks about it officially. Because who would believe us? We're just tired truckers who drove too long. Saw things that weren't there. Except we all describe the same details. The same confusion. The same impossible journey to a time that's supposed to be gone. The mountains remember. And sometimes they let you remember too. I'm a photographer. Last year, I camped in the Daniel Boone National Forest to shoot the morning fog. Got incredible photos, but when I reviewed them later, there were people in the background, standing between the trees, watching my tent. I was completely alone that night, or so I thought. Stay close, keep your senses open, and if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. Photography is my passion. Landscapes especially. Mountains, forests, natural beauty. I spend most weekends chasing good light, waiting for perfect conditions. I've camped in dozens of locations, always solo. Prefer it that way. No distractions. No compromises on timing or location. Just me and nature. Last October, I was planning a trip to Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky. I'd seen weather forecasts predicting heavy fog, perfect for the moody atmospheric shots I wanted. I picked a remote location, deep in the forest. Drove in Friday evening, hiked 2 miles to my spot, set up camp just before dark. The location was perfect. Small clearing on a ridge, trees pressing close. View down into a valley. I could see fog already forming below, settling into hollows. I ate a quick dinner, prepped my gear, set my alarm for 5 a.m., wanted to be ready for first light. Crawled into my tent around 9 p.m., fell asleep to the sound of wind through trees and distant owl calls. I woke before my alarm, that pre-dawn stillness when the world holds its breath. I dressed quietly, grabbed my camera and tripod, stepped outside. The fog was incredible, thick, rolling, transforming the forest into something dreamlike. Trees emerged and disappeared, shapes shifting, exactly what I'd hoped for. I spent 2 hours shooting, Different angles, different exposures. The fog moved constantly, creating new compositions every few minutes. I worked methodically, professional, focused. Didn't pay much attention to my surroundings beyond framing shots. Just saw through the viewfinder. Click, adjust. Click. The ritual of photography. By 7 a.m., the fog was lifting. The magic hour ending. I packed up, made breakfast, broke camp, hiked back to my car, drove home. Typical successful photo trip. Got the shots I wanted. Beautiful conditions. No problems. Or so I thought. That evening, I uploaded the photos to my computer. Started reviewing them. The first few were beautiful. Fog rolling through trees, soft light, ethereal atmosphere. Then I noticed something in photo 12. In the background, between two trees, a shape. I zoomed in. It was a person, standing perfectly still, facing my camera, or facing my tent. Watching, I felt cold. I'd been alone, completely alone. No other hikers, no campers, no one. I checked the next photo, different angle, but there, the same figure. Moved slightly, different tree, still watching. I went through all my photos, 37 images. The figure appeared in 23 of them. Always in the background, always watching, always perfectly still. I looked closer, enhanced the images. The figure was wearing dark clothes, hard to make out details in the fog, but definitely human-shaped, human-sized, standing upright, sometimes alone. Sometimes there were others, 3 in one shot, 5 in another, all watching, all still. None of them moving between frames, even though minutes passed between each photo. I checked my tent shots. I'd taken a few photos of my campsite for my outdoor gear blog, and there they were. Figures in the tree line, watching my tent. This was during the night. My camera had captured them with flash, reflective eyes, like animals. But the shapes were human, definitely human. I felt sick. These people had been watching me all night, standing in the forest, silent, observing, and I'd never known, never heard them, never saw them, just slept peacefully while strangers surrounded my tent. Why? What did they want? Why stand there motionless for hours? I reported it, contacted the Forest Service, showed them the photos. They were concerned, asked exact location, times, details. They investigated, found my campsite, but no evidence of other people, no footprints, no disturbed ground, no sign anyone else had been there. They suggested maybe they were artifacts, digital glitches, shadows and fog, creating our brains seeing faces where none exist. But I'm a professional photographer. I know artifacts, no glitches. These weren't random shapes. These were consistent, present across multiple photos, from multiple angles, always humanoid, always watching. The Forest Service admitted they'd received other reports. Other campers reporting feelings of being watched, seeing figures in peripheral vision, hearing movement at night, but never any evidence, never any confrontation, just presence, observation. I researched the area, found local legends, stories going back generations. The Watchers, that's what old-timers called them. Spirits, or people, or something else that lived deep in the forest. Never approaching, never threatening, just watching. Cherokee stories mentioned them too. Beings that existed between worlds. Neither alive nor dead, neither human nor spirit. Just present, always present, observing the living with ancient, patient eyes. Some accounts claimed they were protective, guardians of the forest, watching for threats, for danger. Others said they were malevolent, studying humans, learning, preparing. One account, from 1932, described a logger who felt watched for weeks. Started seeing figures at night, became paranoid, convinced they were planning something. He left suddenly, refused to return. His logging company wrote it off as cabin fever. I looked at my photos again, really studied the figures, their posture, their positioning. They weren't threatening, weren't moving aggressively, just standing, watching, patient, endless patience. Like they could stand there forever, like time meant nothing to them. And maybe it didn't. Maybe they'd been there long before me, would be there long after, just watching the forest, watching visitors, recording our presence in whatever way they understood. I haven't gone back, sold my camping gear. Stick to day trips now. Stay on marked trails. Never camp alone. And I always check my photos carefully, looking for shapes that shouldn't be there, for figures in the background, for evidence I'm not alone, even when I think I am. Other photographers have contacted me after I posted about it online. They have similar photos, similar experiences, figures in their nature shots, watching from the trees, standing in clearings, always in remote locations, always in the mountains, especially Appalachia. The older the forest, the more common the sightings. One woman sent me her photos from a trip to West Virginia. Same thing. Figures watching her camp. But in her case, she'd heard them. Footsteps, circling her tent, heavy breathing. The sounds lasted hours. She lay terrified, not knowing what to do. In the morning, she packed and ran. Didn't even break camp properly. Just grabbed her essentials and hiked out. She went back days later with police. Her tent was still there, completely untouched, but there were hundreds of footprints around it. Barefoot prints, human-shaped, circling and circling like they'd walked all night. The police couldn't explain it. No missing persons in the area. No reports of anyone living in the forest. The prints were fresh, from that night. But whose, and why? The woman never got an answer. Never went back. Now she won't camp at all, just like me. Here's what I know. There are places in the Appalachian Mountains where you're never really alone, where something watches, something that looks human enough to fool cameras, but isn't quite right, isn't quite natural. These things don't attack, don't threaten, they just watch, stand in the darkness, stand in the fog, stand in the spaces between trees, and observe. Maybe they're curious. Maybe they're territorial. Maybe they don't understand what we are any more than we understand what they are. But they're there, in my photos, in others' photos, proof that the deep forest holds more than trees and animals. It holds watchers, silent, patient, eternal. And when you camp alone in those mountains, you should know. You're being photographed too, recorded, studied, by eyes that have watched these mountains for longer than we can imagine, and they'll keep watching long after we're gone. My family visited a historical mining town in Pennsylvania. Tourist attraction, gift shops, guided tours. My daughter said she made a friend, a little girl who lived in the mine. I thought it was pretend, until I saw the photo she took. A girl standing in the tunnel, in a section that's been sealed off for 90 years. Stay close, keep your senses open, and if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. We were on summer vacation, driving through Pennsylvania, looking for family-friendly activities. Found a listing for an old mining town. Historic site, preserved from the coal mining era, tours of the mine, museum, gift shop. Seemed educational, kid appropriate. We decided to stop. The town was small, maybe a dozen buildings, all restored to look like early 1900s, company store, supervisor's house, workers' cottages, everything clean and maintained but deliberately dated. Felt like walking onto a movie set. My daughter loved it. She's 7, into history and old things. Spent the whole drive asking questions about coal mining and what life was like back then. We took the mine tour first. 45 minutes underground. Hard hats required. Guide explaining mining techniques and safety measures and disasters. My daughter held my hand tight in the dark tunnels. Lights strung along the ceiling. Everything safe and controlled, but still eerie, thinking about people working here daily, in darkness, danger everywhere. The tours ended at the museum. Artifacts and photos. Stories of miners and their families. Pretty depressing, honestly. High death rates. Child labor. Exploitation. Not exactly fun family content, but important. History isn't always pleasant. We walked through quickly. My wife wanted to check out the gift shop. I needed coffee. We told our daughter she could look around while we stepped outside. Stay in the building. Don't wander off. We were gone maybe 15 minutes. Got coffee. Bought some postcards. Went back inside to collect our daughter. Found her sitting on a bench, smiling, happy. I asked if she'd enjoyed the museum. She said yes, and she made a friend. I looked around. No other kids visible. Just a few adults reading displays. I asked where her friend was. She pointed toward the back of the building. The mine entrance, in the tunnel. I was confused. We'd just done the tour. The entrance was roped off. No one allowed back without a guide. I asked what she meant. She explained cheerfully. A little girl, her age, named Sarah, lived in the mine. Wanted to show my daughter her home. They played together. My wife and I exchanged glances. Kids have imaginary friends. Normal. We smiled. Asked what games they played. Our daughter described hide and seek, tag, in the tunnels. That got my attention. I asked directly, "Did you go past the rope? Into the mine?" She nodded. "Yes, but just a little bit." Sarah showed me. I felt my stomach drop. The mine had sections that weren't part of the tour. Sealed off. Dangerous. Unstable. If she'd gone back there. I asked how far. She said not far. Just around the corner, where Sarah's room is. I went to find a staff member. Told them my daughter had gone into the mine. Past the barriers. They were immediately concerned. Called security. Checked the cameras. But the footage showed our daughter sitting on the bench the whole time. Never moving. Never going near the mine entrance. I insisted. Described what she'd told me. They reviewed again. Same result. She never left the bench. I asked my daughter again, more seriously this time. "Did you really go in the mine? Or were you pretending?" She got defensive. Said she really went. With Sarah. They walked together. Saw Sarah's room. It was cold and dark. Sarah said she's lived there forever, since before even her grandparents were born. My wife asked if Sarah was a ghost. Our daughter shrugged. Maybe. She didn't say. The security guard was patient. Said kids have active imaginations. The museum talks about people who lived here. Easy for children to internalize those stories. Create narratives. Perfectly normal. But I asked to see Sarah's photo. Our daughter had my old phone. Uses it as a camera. Takes pictures constantly. She pulled it out. Scrolled. Found what she wanted. Look, that's Sarah. The photo showed the mine tunnel. The section past the rope. Clearly beyond where tourists were allowed. And standing in the tunnel was a girl. Young. Maybe 7 or 8. Wearing a long dress. Old-fashioned. Smiling at the camera. Clear. Detailed. Not a blur. Not a shadow. An actual child standing in a sealed mine tunnel. The security guard went pale. Asked to see the phone. Checked the photo metadata. Confirmed it was taken that day. That hour. During the time we were in the coffee shop. He called his supervisor. More staff arrived. They examined the photo. Checked the mine. The barrier was intact. No one had moved it. No footprints in the dust beyond it. No evidence anyone had been back there. They questioned my daughter. Gently. She stuck to her story. Sarah invited her. They held hands. Walked into the tunnel. Sarah showed her where she sleeps. Where she plays. where she waits. I asked, waits for what? My daughter said Sarah didn't explain, just said she waits for people to visit, for friends to play with. But most people can't see her. Most people just walk past. The supervisor pulled up historical records, found something. In 1934, a girl named Sarah Mitchell died in the mine. She was 8. Her father worked there. She'd sneaked in to bring him lunch, got lost in the tunnels. They found her body 3 days later. Cold, dark, alone. Ever since, staff and visitors have reported strange occurrences, feelings of being watched, sounds of crying, glimpses of a child in period clothing, but never anything concrete, never photographs, until now. I asked if we could leave. This was too much, too real. The supervisor understood, but requested we send them the photo for their records, historical documentation. I agreed, transferred the file. We left immediately, drove straight home, didn't stop, didn't discuss it, just wanted out of those mountains. That night, my daughter woke up crying, said Sarah was outside her window, wanted her to come back, wanted to play more. I looked, saw nothing, just darkness and trees. But my daughter insisted, said Sarah was sad, lonely, wanted friends. I closed the blinds, told her Sarah couldn't come here. Sarah lived in the mine, far away. She asked why Sarah couldn't leave. I didn't have an answer. Maybe because that's where she died. Maybe because that's where she's trapped. Maybe because the mine is her home now, forever. My daughter accepted this. Said she wished she could visit again, be Sarah's friend. I said absolutely not. We're never going back. But the dreams continued. My daughter talking to Sarah in her sleep, laughing, playing, having conversations with someone I couldn't see. During the day, she'd draw pictures, her and Sarah, in the mine, holding hands, smiling. She said Sarah asked her to come back, said it's lonely underground. No other children visit anymore. Everyone's scared. I called the mining museum, asked if other children had reported seeing Sarah. The supervisor confirmed. Multiple incidents over the years. Children claiming to see a girl, talk to her, play with her. Adults never see anything. Just children, usually young girls, Sarah's age. And they all described the same thing. A friendly girl who lives in the mine, who wants friends, who's been waiting decades for someone to play with. The supervisor said most children forget after a few weeks, move on, but some don't. Some stay connected. One girl in the 90s became obsessed, drew Sarah constantly, talked about her like she was real, living, present. Her parents pulled her out of school, moved away, trying to break the connection. The supervisor didn't know if it worked. I asked what we should do. The supervisor suggested acknowledgement. Let our daughter say goodbye. Write Sarah a letter. Explain she can't visit anymore. It might help. Give closure to both of them. We tried it. My daughter wrote a careful letter. Told Sarah she was her friend, but she couldn't come back to the mine. It was too far. Too scary. She hoped Sarah would understand. We mailed it to the museum. They said they'd place it in Sarah's section of the mine. The dreams stopped. My daughter seemed okay. Moved on to other things, other friends. But sometimes she'll look sad, stare out windows. When I ask what's wrong, she says she's thinking about Sarah, hoping she's okay, hoping she's not too lonely. I tell her Sarah's fine, that someday another child will visit, another friend. But I don't know if that's true. Don't know if Sarah is fine, or if she's still down there, cold, dark, alone, waiting for the next tourist child who can see her, who can cross that barrier between then and now, who can be her friend for one brief afternoon before being pulled back to the world of the living, leaving Sarah behind. Again, the mountains remember their dead, and sometimes the dead remember us too. Remember our daughters, our innocence, and they reach out, wanting connection, wanting warmth, wanting what they lost, and we take photos, document proof, then run away, leaving them behind forever. I stayed at a mountain motel in Tennessee. The owner gave me a list of rules. Don't open the door after 10 p.m. Don't look out the window at night. Don't acknowledge voices calling your name. I thought he was joking, until 2 a.m. when someone knocked on my door and used my exact voice to call my own name. Stay close, keep your senses open, and if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. I was driving from Atlanta to Nashville. Long drive. Decided to break it up. Stay overnight somewhere. Avoid driving tired. The GPS showed a motel off the highway. Small, basic, but reviews were decent. Clean rooms, quiet location, cheap rates, perfect for one night. I arrived around 7 p.m. The motel was old, classic L-shaped building. Maybe 20 rooms, parking lot half empty, neon vacancy sign flickering, office at one end. Everything looked tired but maintained. I parked, walked to the office, rang the bell. An old man appeared from the back. Friendly smile, asked how many nights. I said 1. He nodded, pulled out a registration card. Cash or credit? I said credit. While processing payment, he handed me a printed sheet. House rules. Standard stuff usually. No smoking, no pets, checkout time. But these rules were different, weird, specific. I read them. Rule 1. Do not open your door after 10 p.m. for any reason. Rule 2. Do not look out your window between midnight and 4 a.m. Rule 3. If you hear your name called, do not respond. Rule 4. Keep all lights off after 11 p.m. Rule 5. Do not leave your room until sunrise. I looked at him, confused. He was watching me, expression serious. I asked if this was a joke. He shook his head. No joke. These rules keep you safe. Follow them, please. I almost left. Decided the place was too weird, but I was tired. It was getting dark. Next motel was 40 miles away. I took the key. Room 14, end of the building. Quiet section. The room was basic. Bed, TV, small bathroom. Clean enough. I dropped my bag, locked the door, chain and deadbolt. Sat on the bed. Read the rules again. Tried to make sense of them. Mountain motels are strange sometimes. Local superstitions, pranks on tourists. I decided to follow them anyway. What harm could it do? One night. Just sleep. Leave in the morning. I ordered food delivery. Ate in the room. Watched TV with the sound low. Around 9:30, I got ready for bed. Brushed teeth. Changed. Set my alarm for 6 a.m. Wanted an early start. By 10:15, I was in bed. Lights off. Room dark except for the glow from the parking lot light through the curtains. I lay there, listening. The motel was quiet. No sounds from other rooms. No traffic. Just silence. Around 11:30, I heard footsteps. Outside, in the breezeway, walking slowly, stopping at doors. I heard knocking, soft, polite, not aggressive, just tap, 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 moving from room to room. Getting closer, I lay still, holding my breath. The footsteps stopped at my door. Silence, then knocking, same pattern, tap, tap, tap. I didn't move, didn't respond, just waited. A voice spoke, right outside my door. Hello? Anyone in there? The voice sounded normal, male, friendly, but something was off. The tone was too flat, too practiced, like someone reading lines. I didn't answer. The knocking came again, harder. Hello? I know someone's in there. I can hear you breathing. That scared me, because I was trying to be silent, perfectly quiet. How could anything hear me breathing through a solid door? Unless it was closer, unless it could hear better than normal. I pulled the blankets up. Ridiculous, childish, but comforting. The knocking stopped. Footsteps moved away, continued to the next room. More knocking, same routine. No one answered anywhere. Eventually, the footsteps faded. Gone. I checked my phone. 12:15 a.m. I thought about the rules. Don't look out the window between midnight and 4 a.m. I was curious. What was outside that I shouldn't see? I sat up, moved toward the window. The curtains were thick, old-fashioned, heavy fabric. I reached for the edge, about to pull it aside, then stopped. The rules had been specific, serious. I got back in bed, decided to follow them. Whatever was outside could stay outside. Around 1 a.m., I heard scratching on the window, light, persistent, like fingernails on glass. Scritch, 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 moving across the window, left to right, then back, over and over. I buried my head under the pillow, tried to block it out. The scratching continued for maybe 20 minutes, then stopped. More silence. At 2 a.m., someone knocked on my door again, but this time, the voice was different. It was my voice, exact tone, inflection, everything. Hey, it's me. I forgot my key. Can you let me in? I froze. That was impossible. No one could mimic my voice that perfectly, unless they'd recorded me. But when? I'd barely spoken since arriving, just brief words to the clerk. The knocking came again, my voice pleading. Come on, it's cold out here. Just open the door. I know you're awake. I could see the door handle moving, turning, testing. But the locks held. The voice changed, became frustrated, angry. Let me in. This is my room. You're in my bed. Open the fucking door. But it still sounded like me, like I was yelling at myself. I grabbed my phone, called the office. No answer. Called again. Still nothing. The voice outside was screaming now, pounding on the door, wood shaking in the frame, but still my voice. Still me, demanding entry. I dialed 911. The operator answered. I tried to explain. Something outside my motel room, trying to break in, using my voice. She asked my location. I gave the motel name. She said she'd send someone. Stay inside. Don't open the door. The pounding stopped. The voice changed again. Now it was whispering, right against the door. I could hear it clearly, like lips pressed to the crack. I know you're scared. I would be too. But you have to let me in eventually. You can't stay in there forever. And when you come out, I'll be waiting. I'll always be waiting. Then silence. Complete. Total. Like whatever it was had vanished. I sat against the far wall, watching the door, watching the window, phone in hand, waiting for police. They arrived 30 minutes later, knocked, identified themselves. I asked them to prove it. Tell me something only police would know. Badge numbers, vehicle details. Finally convinced, I opened the door. 2 officers, flashlights. They checked the breezeway, the parking lot. Found nothing. No one. No footprints. No evidence anyone had been there. I told them everything. The rules, the knocking, the voice. They exchanged glances. One asked to see the rules sheet. Reddit showed his partner. They both nodded, like they knew, like they'd seen this before. The older officer said, "This place has a reputation. Things happen here." The owner tries to warn people. Most don't listen. You did good following the rules. I asked what would have happened if I'd opened the door. He shook his head. Don't know. No one who's opened it has said. I asked what it was. What's out there? The younger officer said they'd taken reports for years. Strange occurrences. Missing persons. No one sees anything during the day, but at night, things change. The old officer suggested I leave. Now, drive somewhere else. Don't come back. I didn't need convincing. I packed in 30 seconds, checked out. The old man at the desk wasn't surprised. Saw me leave with police. Nodded knowingly. I asked why he kept the place open, if it was dangerous. He said, someone has to. Better here than out on the roads. At least here, you can lock a door. I drove to the next town. Found a chain motel. Didn't sleep. Just lay there till sunrise, replaying everything. The voice, my voice, calling to me, demanding entry. What was it? A recording, a trick, or something worse. Something that could copy voices, mimic people, pretend to be you, to fool you into opening doors, letting it in. I researched the motel later, found stories, decades worth. People reporting similar experiences, voices, knockings, figures at windows. Some followed the rules, survived, others didn't. Left their rooms, were found the next morning, unharmed physically, but changed, wouldn't speak, wouldn't explain, just stared, distant, like something had been taken, or something had been added, something that didn't belong. The motel still operates, still accepts guests. The old man still hands out his rules. Most people laugh, ignore them, some follow them. Those are the ones who check out in the morning, pale, shaken, but whole. The ones who ignore them, well, some of them check out too, some don't. Some just drive away, without saying goodbye, without paying, just leaving, fast. And some never leave at all. Their cars stay in the parking lot, keys at the desk, rooms eventually cleaned and re-rented. No one asks questions. The mountains take what they take, and sometimes they leave behind rules, instructions, ways to survive, if you're smart enough to follow them, if you're lucky enough to make it to sunrise, and if you're wise enough never to go back. I took a guided cave tour in Kentucky. The group was 12 people. We went deep, miles underground. When we came out, there were 13 of us. The guide counted 3 times. Couldn't figure out who the extra person was. We all looked at each other. No one recognized anyone as new. Someone had joined us in the dark, and no one knew when. Stay close. Keep your senses open. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. Mammoth Cave, longest cave system in the world, over 400 miles mapped, more being discovered constantly. I'd always wanted to visit. Finally made the trip last spring. Booked the wild cave tour. 6 hours. Deep exploration. Crawling, climbing, squeezing through tight passages. Only for experienced people. Physically fit, not claustrophobic. The group met at 8 a.m. 12 of us, including the guide, Sarah, mid-40s. 20 years of caving experience. She gave the safety briefing, explained the route, what to expect. Everyone signed waivers, acknowledged risks, got equipped, helmets, headlamps, knee pads, gloves. We took a group photo before descending, proof we'd all started together. All 12 of us. The first hour was easy, walking passages, admiring formations, learning geology. Sarah was a great guide, knowledgeable, funny, made everyone comfortable. The group was friendly, people from different states, different backgrounds, but all excited, all ready for adventure. We introduced ourselves, learned names, made small talk, normal tour group behavior. Then we went deeper, off the established tourist routes, into wild cave, undeveloped, raw, no lights, no walkways, just rock and water and darkness. We crawled, squeezed through cracks, descended muddy slopes. It was challenging, exhausting, but incredible. Seeing formations untouched by human hands, chambers no one visits. True exploration, Around hour 3, we stopped for lunch, a large chamber with relatively flat floor. Sarah counted us, made sure everyone was present. 12. All good. We ate, drank, rested. Sarah pointed out interesting formations, told stories about early cave explorers. We took more photos, group shots, individual poses, recording our adventure. Hour 4 got harder, tighter passages, more technical climbing. Sarah went first, showing the route. Each person followed, single file, headlamps creating a moving chain of light. Sometimes we'd bunch up, waiting for someone to navigate a tight spot. Sometimes we'd spread out, moving at our own pace, but always following Sarah, always staying together. Hour 5, we reached the deepest point, 800 feet underground, a massive chamber called the cathedral, enormous, ceiling disappearing into darkness above, formations everywhere, stalactites, stalagmites, columns, curtains. Sarah had us turn off our lights, experience total darkness, true absence of light. You can't imagine what it's like. Darkness so complete, you can't see your hand touching your nose. It's disorienting, claustrophobic, but also beautiful in a strange way. We sat in darkness for maybe 2 minutes, then Sarah counted. 1, 2, 3. Continuing until everyone called out, making sure we were all still there. No one separated in the dark. I was number 8, called out when my turn came. Heard others after me. Then Sarah said, okay, lights on, let's head back. And we turned on our headlamps. The return journey was faster. We knew the route, moved more confidently, made better time. Sarah lead. Rest of us followed, tired but satisfied, ready to get out, see sunlight, get clean. By hour 6, we were approaching the exit, the commercial section where tourists walk. Lights, railings, civilization. Sarah stopped at the boundary, where wild cave meets developed cave. Did a final count, routine, making sure everyone made it safely. She counted, pointed at each person. 1, 2, 3. Continuing around, her expression changed. She counted again, slower, more carefully, then looked confused. There are 13 of you. We laughed, thought she missed, but she was serious. Counted again, out loud, pointing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. She looked at us. Someone joined the group. I looked around, saw the same faces from the morning. Same people, same helmets. Everyone I recognized. Sarah asked, who here wasn't in the starting group? Silence. No one raised a hand. Sarah pulled out her phone, showed us the starting photo. We compared, looked at who was present. Everyone in the photo was here, but there was one extra. We counted ourselves. 13. Sarah counted the photo. 12. Definitively 12. But 13 of us standing here. She asked each person to state their name. Everyone did. All names from the morning roster. No strangers. No one we didn't know. Sarah looked pale. This has never happened. I don't understand. We all started looking at each other, suspicious, trying to figure out who didn't belong, but everyone looked familiar. Everyone wore the same gear, same mud stains, same tired expressions. No one stood out. No one looked wrong. Just 13 people instead of 12. A woman suggested we take another photo, compare it to the original. Sarah agreed. We lined up, same order as the morning, tried to match positions. Sarah took the photo. We looked, and there, clear as day, an extra person, standing in the back row, between 2 others. Man, early 30s, wearing the same gear we all wore, smiling, looking normal, except he wasn't in the morning photo. Hadn't been there when we started. Sarah asked him directly, "Who are you?" When did you join? The man looked confused. I'm Dave. I've been here the whole time. Remember, I introduced myself this morning, but no one remembered. No Dave. No introduction. He wasn't there. He insisted he was. Described our morning meeting, the briefing, details he shouldn't know unless he'd been present. But he wasn't in the photo. Wasn't on the roster. Didn't exist until somewhere deep in the cave. Sarah made a decision. Everyone stays together. We exit. Now, we'll sort this at the surface. We walked out, through the tourist section, past confused visitors who stared at our mud-covered group, to the entrance. Sunlight. Fresh air. Sarah immediately called park rangers. Security. Explained the situation. They looked skeptical, but followed protocol. Separated us. Questioned individually. I told my story. What I remembered when I'd first noticed Dave. I couldn't pinpoint it. He'd just been there. Part of the group. Like he'd always been there. But he hadn't. The photo proved it. Others said the same. Vague memories. No specific moment when he appeared. Just suddenly present. Dave was questioned longest. He maintained he'd booked the tour. Paid. Started with everyone else, but there was no record. No booking under his name. No credit card payment. No signed waiver. No check-in. He showed ID, driver's license, social security card, all legitimate. Real person, but not someone who'd registered for the tour. Not someone who should have been in the cave. Park officials reviewed security footage, entrance cameras, showed 12 people entering, showed 13 exiting. No footage of Dave arriving. No car in the lot registered to him. No explanation for his presence. He was there, solid, physical, real, but without history, without arrival, without beginning. Just manifestation in the deep dark of the cave. They eventually let us go. Couldn't hold anyone. No crime committed. Just impossibility. Dave left with the rest of us. Got in a car no one remembered seeing. Drove away. Sarah was shaken. Said in 20 years of guiding, she'd heard stories, cavers talk, about people who appear underground, join groups, then vanish, or stay, become part of the surface world. No one knows where they come from. The deep cave, unexplored chambers, places humans haven't reached, maybe shouldn't reach. I checked social media later, looked for Dave, found an account. Recent posts, check-ins, all over the country. Different caves, different tours, always in group photos, always smiling. Sometimes he's in the starting photo, sometimes he's not, but he's always there at the end, always present, always part of the group. Like he's collecting tours, collecting experiences, being human in fragments. Never whole, never complete. Just momentary presence before moving to the next cave, the next group. I don't cave anymore. That was my last tour, because I keep wondering, when did he join us? What moment in the dark did something decide to become Dave? To put on gear that wasn't issued, to walk with us, to experience our world. And are there others? Other members of other tours, people who shouldn't be there, who manifest in darkness, who count as 13 instead of 12. The deep earth holds mysteries, and sometimes those mysteries walk among us, wearing human faces, living human moments, before disappearing back to wherever they came from, leaving us to wonder, to count, to realize too late that we brought something back from the depths, something that wanted to see the sun, feel the air, be part of our world, even if just for a day. I rented an Airbnb in the Ozarks. Remote farmhouse. Beautiful property. The host left a journal for guests. Suggestions for activities. Hiking trails. Restaurants. I read the last entry. It was written by the previous guests. 3 days ago. It said, Don't go into the barn after dark. Don't answer if someone calls from outside. Don't trust your reflection in the mirrors. We didn't follow these rules. Now we can't leave. Stay close. Keep your senses open. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. The Ozarks in October. Perfect timing. Fall colors. Cool weather. I needed a break. Booked a week at a remote farmhouse. 5 acres. No neighbors. Full privacy. The listing photos were beautiful. Restored 100-year-old house. Modern amenities. Gorgeous views. 5-star reviews. Everyone raved about the peace and quiet, the host's hospitality. The perfect getaway. I arrived late afternoon. Drove down a long gravel driveway. The house sat on a hill, surrounded by forest. Meadow in front, old barn to the side. Everything looked perfect. Better than photos. The host had left the key in a lockbox. Instructions in a welcome packet. Make yourself at home. Enjoy your stay. Contact me if you need anything. Inside, the house was immaculate, decorated with rustic charm, wood floors, stone fireplace, full kitchen, 2 bedrooms, everything clean and ready. On the coffee table was a journal, leather-bound, guest book. Previous visitors had written entries, describing their stays, recommending activities, leaving thank you notes. I flipped through. Everyone loved it. Best vacation. Most relaxing week. Can't wait to return. Standard guest book content. The last entry was dated 3 days ago. A couple, Mark and Jennifer. They wrote about arriving, exploring the property, making meals, hiking nearby trails. Normal stuff. Then the entry changed tone. Last paragraph. Different handwriting. Rushed. Unsteady. If you're reading this, follow these rules. Don't go into the barn after dark. Don't answer if someone calls from outside. Don't trust your reflection in the mirrors. We didn't follow these rules. Now we can't leave. We're trying, but every road leads back. Tell someone where we are. Tell them to find us. Please. I read it twice. Unsettling, but probably a joke. People leave fake scary messages in guest books, trying to freak out the next visitors. I'd seen it before. Still, it was specific, detailed. The different handwriting suggested genuine distress, or good acting. I decided to ignore it. Probably nothing, just someone's idea of fun. I unpacked, made dinner, explored the house. Everything was normal, beautiful, peaceful. As the sun set, I stood on the porch, watching the valley fill with shadow, listening to evening sounds, crickets, distant owl, wind through trees, perfect isolation. I went back inside, started a fire, settled in with a book, relaxing, exactly what I'd wanted. Around 8 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Silence, then a voice, distorted, unclear. Said my name, asked if I was at the farmhouse. I said yes. The voice said good. Listen carefully. Don't go outside tonight. Lock all the doors. Don't look in the mirrors. Trust nothing you see. Click. They hung up. I tried calling back. Number not in service. That was weird. Specific. Matching the journal entry. Someone was messing with me, playing games. I checked all the doors. Locked, windows closed, security measures, not because I was scared, just being cautious. I went back to my book, tried to focus, but kept thinking about the call, the journal entry. The coincidence that around 10 p.m., I heard a voice outside, calling, "Hello, anyone home? I need help." Male voice, sounded distressed. I went to the window, looked out. Saw a figure in the driveway. Man, standing by the barn, waving the journal entry. Said don't answer if someone calls from outside, but this was clearly a real person. In trouble, needing assistance. I couldn't just ignore them. I opened the door, called out, What do you need? The figure moved closer, into the porch light, and I saw it was me. Exact duplicate. Same clothes, same face, same posture. Standing there, looking at me, smiling. The duplicate spoke, in my voice. Thanks for answering. I was worried you wouldn't. Now we can switch. It stepped toward the porch. I slammed the door, locked it, heart racing. That was impossible. That wasn't real. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. No one. Empty driveway. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking. Tried to call the host. No answer. Tried again. Voicemail. I left a message. Described what happened. Asked for explanation. Begged them to call back. I checked every window, every door. Everything locked. Nothing outside. Just darkness. Then I passed a mirror, hallway, above a small table, and saw my reflection, but it wasn't moving with me. It was lagging, half a second behind. I stopped. My reflection stopped, but not exactly. Slightly off, not quite synchronized. I waved. My reflection waved, but wrong. Reverse motion, like it was learning, practicing, trying to match, but not quite right. I covered the mirror, threw a towel over it, went to check other mirrors. Bathroom, bedroom, all the same. Reflections that moved wrong, delayed, off, like something was operating them, controlling them, imperfectly mimicking me. I covered every mirror I could find, used towels, sheets, anything. Couldn't stand seeing those wrong reflections. Around midnight, I heard sounds from the barn, scraping, banging, like someone moving things, heavy objects. I remembered the journal. Don't go into the barn after dark, but I wanted to see, wanted to understand. I grabbed a flashlight, went to the back window, the one facing the barn, looked out. The barn doors were open. Light, inside, movement, figures, multiple figures, all moving, working. I couldn't see details. Too far, too dark, but there were at least 5, maybe more, busy, purposeful. I watched for maybe 5 minutes. Then one turned, looked directly at the house, at my window, and I saw its face. Saw my face, looking back at me. All of them turned, all wearing my face, all staring. They started walking toward the house, together, synchronized. I backed away from the window, ran to the front door, double-checked the lock, then heard them, on the porch. Multiple footsteps, surrounding the house, walking around it, testing doors, windows, trying to find entry. I stood in the center of the living room, surrounded, trapped, phone in hand. No idea who to call. Police would think I was crazy. They knocked, all at once. Every door, every window, rhythmic, synchronized. Boom, 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 like a heartbeat. My heartbeat, I covered my ears. Sank to the floor. This was impossible. This wasn't real. Had to be a dream, hallucination, something. But it felt real. Sounded real. The fear was real. Eventually, they stopped. Silence. I waited. Minutes passing. Nothing. Slowly, I stood. Checked the windows. No one outside. Empty. Dark. Normal. Like nothing had happened. But the barn doors were still open. Lights still on. I watched. Saw movement inside. They'd gone back. Returned to whatever they were doing. I didn't sleep. Sat on the couch. Lights on. Watching windows. Watching mirrors I'd covered. Waiting for sunrise. When dawn came, I packed immediately. Didn't clean. Didn't straighten. Just grabbed my stuff. Ran to my car. Drove down the driveway. Fast. Gravel spraying. Reached the main road. Turned toward town. But the road curved back. Lead back to the driveway. Back to the farmhouse. I tried again. Different direction. Same result. Every road. Every turn. Lead back. I tried for 2 hours. Same outcome. The journal entry was right. Now we can't leave. I was trapped. Like Mark and Jennifer. Like whoever else had violated the rules. Had gone where they shouldn't. Had seen what they shouldn't. Now the property wouldn't release me. I'm still here. Been 3 days now. Food from the kitchen. Water from the tap. But supplies running low. My phone battery dying. Service cutting in and out. I've written this entry in the journal, updating the warnings, making them clearer, hoping the next guest will listen, will follow the rules, will contact someone, will get help. The duplicates are still in the barn, working, building something. I don't know what. Don't want to know? They come out at night, walk around the house, knock on windows, call in my voice, trying to trick me, trying to get me to open doors. To let them in. I won't, but I don't know how long I can last. If you're reading this, if you're the next guest, don't make my mistake. Don't ignore the warnings. Follow the rules exactly. And if you do leave, if you escape, tell someone about this place. Tell them to search. Tell them to find the others. All the guests who didn't leave, who can't leave. We're still here. Trapped in a beautiful prison, surrounded by copies of ourselves, waiting for someone to break the cycle, to free us, or at least to remember we existed, before the mountains claimed us, before the property decided we belonged here, forever. The Ozarks are beautiful, but beauty can be a trap, and some vacation rentals don't want you to check out, ever. I was hiking with my husband in Virginia. We found an old church, abandoned, beautiful. We went inside to take photos. The church had a guest book. We signed it, read other entries. The dates were wrong, people claiming to visit. In 1952, 1978, 1989, all writing like it was current. When we left, our car was covered in rust. The tires were flat. And according to my watch, we'd been inside for 3 hours, but it felt like 20 minutes. Stay close. Keep your senses open. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. My husband and I love hiking, exploring, finding hidden places. Last spring, we were in Virginia, Shenandoah region, beautiful area. Mountains, valleys, history. We'd planned a day hike, 8 miles, moderate difficulty. Weather was perfect. We started early, made good time. Trail was well maintained. We passed a few other hikers, exchanged pleasantries, everyone friendly. Around mile 4, we saw something off the trail, a structure, hidden in trees. We left the main path. Pushed through undergrowth, found an old church, small, white clapboard, steeple with a bell, windows intact, doors slightly ajar. It looked abandoned but maintained. No graffiti, no vandalism, just weathered by time but still standing. Beautiful in that haunting way. Old buildings are my husband wanted to go inside, take photos. I was hesitant, trespassing, but the door was open. Inviting, and we'd be careful, not damage anything, just look. Document. We pushed the door wider, stepped inside. The interior was dim, dusty, pews still in rows, altar at the front, simple cross on the wall, everything intact, like the congregation had just stepped out, would return any moment. The light through the windows was strange, golden, thick, like honey. Made everything glow. We walked slowly, reverently, taking photos, admiring the craftsmanship, the detail. Old churches were built to last, built with care. This one felt sacred, special. Despite abandonment, despite years of disuse, on a small table by the door, we found a guest book, leather-bound, old, pages yellowed, but not damaged. We opened it. Curious, saw entries from visitors, people who'd found this place, signed their names, left dates. But the dates were wrong. First entry said 1952, second said 1967, third said 1978, continuing chronologically, but spanning decades, all written like they were current, like the person was there right then, in their time. One entry from 1981 said, "Found this beautiful church while hiking, so peaceful. We'll treasure this memory." Another from 1995. "Stumbled upon this place by accident. Feel blessed, grateful, like it was meant to be." Entry after entry, decades of visitors, all recording their presence, their wonder, their reverence. The most recent was dated 2008. "We found God's house in the woods. Thank you for existing." My husband suggested we add our own entry, leave our mark. I found a pen in my backpack. We wrote the date, April 15th, 2024. Our names, brief message, echoing others, grateful to have found this place, honored to witness its beauty. We closed the book, continued exploring, taking more photos, sitting in pews, feeling the atmosphere, the weight of history, of faith, of time suspended. It felt like 20 minutes, maybe 30. We were ready to leave, continue our hike. We walked to the door, pushed it open, stepped outside, and stopped. Something was wrong. The light was different. Later, much later, afternoon pushing toward evening. We'd entered in morning, mid-morning, bright sunshine. Now, it was late, sun already dropping. How long had we been inside? I checked my watch. 4:30 p.m. We'd entered around 11 a.m. 5.5 hours. That was impossible. We'd been inside 20 minutes. Half hour maximum, not 5 hours. My husband checked his phone. Same time, same confusion. Where did the hours go? What happened? We walked back to the trail, found our car, and gasped. It looked different, aged. The paint was faded, covered in dust, thick dust, like it had sat there for months, not hours. The tires were flat, all four, deflated completely. Windows were dirty, covered in pollen and grime. Inside, the seats looked sun-damaged, cracked, faded, like years of exposure. But we'd parked this morning, in perfect condition. Brand new car, 2 months old. I tried the key. Engine turned over, struggled, battery weak. But it started, running rough. We sat there, stunned, trying to understand. This was impossible. Cars don't age 5 years and 5 hours, or whatever this was. My husband suggested we leave, figure it out later, just get away from this place. I agreed. We needed civilization, needed normal, needed reality. We drove slowly, tires flat, rims grinding, no choice. Limped back to the main road. Found a gas station, pulled in. The attendant stared at our car, at us, asked if we needed help. We said yes. Please. Tires, air. He looked at the car, shook his head. This car has been sitting, long time. Tires are rotted, need replacing, not just air. I told him that was impossible. We just drove it this morning. He looked skeptical. Ma'am, this car hasn't run in months, maybe years. Look at it. We looked, really looked. He was right. The car was deteriorated, paint oxidized, chrome pitted, rubber seals cracked, everything aged, degraded, like it had sat abandoned for years. But we'd driven it this morning. It was new, perfect condition. What happened? The attendant called a tow truck. We called my insurance, explained. Sort of. They were confused. Sent an adjuster. He took photos, measurements, wrote reports, concluded the car had been exposed to elements for extended period, years of weather damage, recommended totaling it, buy in new. But how? How did this happen? He had no answer, just facts. The car was ruined, beyond repair, Despite being new this morning, we rented a car, drove home, tried to process, researched the church online, found nothing, no record, no historical documentation, no mention in county records, like it didn't exist, never existed. We checked maps, satellite imagery, the area where we'd found it, just forest, no structure, no clearing, nothing. I contacted local historical societies, asked about abandoned churches, gave location, description. No one knew. No church in that area. Never had been. One historian said there were legends, stories of places that appear, hidden structures, temporal anomalies, spots where time worked differently, where visitors experienced impossible things. But they were just legends, folk tales, not real, except we lived it. My husband and I went back, tried to find it again, hiked the same trail, left at mile 4, searched the forest, 4 hours, nothing, no church, no clearing, just dense trees, undergrowth, no sign anything had ever been there. We tried 3 more times, different seasons, different approaches, same result, nothing. The church was gone, or never existed, or existed only for us. For that moment, that stolen time, we still have the photos, evidence, or so we thought. When we got home and reviewed them, they were strange, distorted. The church looked wrong, faded, translucent, like a double exposure, or a ghost. Not solid, not real, just an impression, a memory. And in some photos, we could see through the walls, see the forest behind, like the church wasn't entirely there, wasn't entirely solid, just partially manifested. I zoomed in on the guest book photos. On our entry, the ink looked wrong, old, faded, like the other entries, like we'd written it decades ago, not that morning. And below our names, new entries, dates after ours. May 2024, June 2024, July 2024. People visiting after us, in our future, their past, writing like it was current, writing like the church was still there, still waiting, still collecting visitors who'd never left, or left without their time, their years, their normal. I checked my hands, my face, looking for aging, wrinkles, gray hair, signs that 5 hours had stolen 5 years. Nothing obvious. I felt the same, looked the same, but sometimes I wonder, did we age in there? Did those 5 hours take something we can't see, can't measure? Some part of our lifetime, borrowed by the church, by whatever existed in that golden light, that suspended time. Other hikers have contacted us. After we posted online, they found similar places, structures that shouldn't exist, that appear and disappear, that take time, take years, take pieces of visitors. They all describe the same thing: golden light, guest books with impossible dates, time dilation, cars aging, batteries dying, everything touched by the place showing decades of wear in hours. The Appalachian Mountains are full of these pockets, these temporal anomalies, where past and present blur, where buildings exist between moments, where you can step inside for 20 minutes and emerge to find the world moved on without you. We're lucky, 5 hours. Some people report losing days, weeks. One man claimed to lose 10 years. Stepped inside a structure, came out to find his family aged, his children grown, his life gone. The mountains take what they take, and sometimes what they take is time, your time, stolen in golden light and dusty pews, in places that exist only briefly, only for certain people, only when the boundary is thin. And if you find one, if you see that door slightly ajar, that inviting glow, that beautiful abandoned structure, walk away, don't enter. Don't sign the guest book. Don't steal time from the church, because the church will steal it back, with interest, and you'll leave with less than you brought. Even if you can't see what's missing, even if you feel the same, something is gone, something the mountains keep forever.